What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today we got something interesting. So this is gonna be a WasianIverson VOD review. Wasian is right in the battle for like the top 2 of NA. Soju, of course, just an absolute beast. But like, I was looking at Wasian's match history like an hour ago when he was ranked 2 NA. Setsuko probably went first, and Wasian probably went 5th or something. But look how close this LP actually is: Setsi, Kai Wang, Bruce Lull, Wasian, and Dish Soap. But Wasian, obviously one of NA's best players historically, has been to Worlds before. He's just fantastic player, and he made actually a pretty interesting note on stream. And Damasian Raptor, fantastic EU player, plays on the UNE server, has been rank 1 AUNE, has been rank 1 World before, was talking about this note that WasianIverson made in his game. He said, Ziggs 2 is like 80% of Silco 2. If you have Ziggs 2 and Silco 1, why would you Anomaly Silco 1 instead of getting Infinite Tempo Anomaly Ziggs 2 and go 9? Blitz 2 is like 90% of Mundo 2. Probably the best tank in Black Rose. Dominators is still Garen. We need specific items like Warmogs, kind of hard to get Warmogs when you need Sunfire and Nashers, and the slots are really important because you play more Black Rose, Jace, more Doms. And so this is, I don't know, a really interesting idea from WasianIverson that, you know, the most important carries in this Black Rose Dominators comp are actually not the 4-cost carries whatsoever. They are the 2-cost and 3-cost carries, and boom, there's a blitz already. So I wanted to watch this game because I think this is I'm sure the best TFT players are thinking about this, and also those are fantastic items. Archangel Steadfast for Academy, so we could even think about Academy if we get there. But this is how the best players think about TFT, and it's, I don't know, it's such a cool way to think about this comp, actually, that, you know, Ziggs and Blitz, and yeah, you actually see the second he sees the Ziggs Blitz opener, he's like, all right, I'm locked in. I have a Ziggs 1, Blitz 1. That is enough for me to think about playing around Dominators here. I can get Scrap in here. I can look at potentially getting like Automata in later, or maybe Bruiser, depending on what we get to play around here. Could even, I'm actually a bit surprised he doesn't look at making gold here. The big problem with making gold here is we're losing some interesting... Yeah, I mean, we could still hold Trundle pair. We would sell everything but Trundle here, right? That's 4, 6, 8, 10. But the downside is we lose a bunch of good pairs, and we lose also the 4 scrap potential with the GP. We could actually have a 4 scrap opener here. All right, first augment here. I mean, Patient Study, especially with the idea of playing Dominators, makes the most sense from this spot, and you just econ up, push level those 4 Dominators. So I think this makes perfect sense from Wasian's spot. What are his items again? I don't recall what his item drops were here, so we can see if they make sense. I mean, these are great items for Dominators as well. We have this belt, like he was talking about, that's probably half Nashers. This glove, which is like okay. You can even think about making stuff like a guard breaker here, but looks like he's just not gonna opt to make that, and he's just gonna play Strongest Board early. Interesting that he also opts to play this here, because that means, is he gonna not make gold here? This is actually a really interesting call from Wasian here. But yeah, I want to see how Wasian plays around this comp, because this is a comp that I think, I mean, I don't know. It's still, I think, to many people, like one of the best alliance out there. And yeah, he even, wow, sells off the pair of Trundles here to hold onto these other Black Rose units just to make his transition a lot easier. He also ended up, like, he missed out on 4 scrap now, which is kind of sad for him. But maybe he was never, I mean, I guess it is only a 2-component opener, so the value of 4 scrap is like a little bit lower than it normally would be. But, you know, whatever. This is the opener. At the end of the day, we're going to win some fights and lose some fights with this board. But we have the Ziggs pair here, which I think Wasian really high on, right? Ziggs to 80% of Silco 2, I think, is a crazy thing to say, and so I just want to see how well this unit actually does for Wasian this game, and how, you know, streamlined of a game he gets to play from this spot, because it's a really interesting idea. And also the thought, what blew my mind is his thought process of potentially anomalying Ziggs or anomalying Blitzcrank here is something wild to me. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have the 2-star 4 costs, it makes a lot of sense from a tempo standpoint. So yeah, I just can't wait. And I guess the other kind of like main idea here that I wanted to bring into this, we're about to go into a carousel here. So I guess let's look at carousel first here. Also making gold, I think, makes perfect sense here, especially because you don't always even play the Morgana. So we have Nashers as a potential slam. We have Sunfire as a potential slam. We have Warmogs as a potential slam. We could even just take, I mean, another belt, I guess, does still end up making Warmogs. We also have Steadfast Heart, which is what it looks like he's looking at here, or even Sunfire, I guess, is the idea. He's so close between the Sunfire and the Warmogs here. Is just going to go for probably Sunfire, actually, now that I think about it, just because it is such a good slam. And we're on a 3 streak here with Patient Study. It's kind of funny, but it's not even really like bad to go for this, but we'll see here. Or maybe, I don't know. I mean, Steadfast Heart is still on as a possibility. Yeah, he's going to make it okay. Oh, he's not going to make it okay. He judges that the board's actually good enough, or really, maybe that the board's bad enough that even Steadfast Heart won't save him here. Yeah, because I don't think he was ever winning this fight. Okay, so good call from Wasian here. But yeah, he's actually leaning the Steadfast Heart stem. I think this actually makes a lot of sense. Keeps your belt open, still makes a solid tank item. So his priority is certainly on Nashers before Sunfire, which, I mean, that makes a lot of sense as well here. So I don't know. I like how Wasian's played this early game so far a lot, and just really how he's given himself this direction by picking up the Ziggs and the Blitzcrank and saying, you know what, this is great direction towards playing Dominators, and these units are so good if I can actually get there. But the other thing I guess I want to talk about is this is how really elite TFT players think about the game, is often not just in terms of the level 8 board, but in terms of like what the strongest board on level 6 is, the strongest board on level 7 is, and how you end up getting to that level 8 board. The Mundo pickup here is fantastic for us. So many good players, I think. The reason why, I'm trying to recall who it was. I think it was a Pakigam. I think this was the interview that Kai did with Pakigam during one of the cups, actually. I was in the call with him, but I was honestly just like amazed listening to how Pakigam was talking about the game. But it was this idea, we were interviewing Pakigam, who, if you're not familiar, one of NA's best players. He was talking about how, and yeah, an Spark Slam here seems quite reasonable. I guess we do have to, is it Warmog Steadfast? Is it, I feel like I would be tempted to go Warmog Steadfast here, because like if you're making Sunfire, then I guess you get to keep the other options open. He's gonna go Guard Breaker. Ooh, I like this a lot, actually. Guard Breaker, Gargoyle here, and that leaves the belt open for the Nashers too. That is just so good in this comp. Wow, I love it. I love it. And Guardbreaker, just a very solid item eventually for our Silco later, who is certainly the idea. But okay, let's look at Augment, and then I'll finish my anecdote about Pocky. Mana Flow, yeah, I mean, just really good in this comp, because making units cast faster gives them all the things that Dominators would ever want. So it makes perfect sense. But what Pocky was talking about, if I could finish not interrupting myself, was that he was one of the only players in the meta. It was, I think it was set 12 or maybe even set 11. I think it was set 12 though. He was one of the only players who he saw himself rolling on stage 3 and like on level 7 and level 6, and no one else was doing this, but he was using those rolls on level 6 and level 7. Like, it would have been really interesting to see if Wasian had actually rolled on level 6 this game, though he is in a spot where he's really incentivized not to roll on 6 because he has the patient study, so who really cares if we win or lose fights. But he was rolling on 6 and 7, stabilizing around 2-star 2 cost and 2-star 3 cost, and then using those to carry him to higher levels, like really well. That's something that I think the best TFT players do. I think really poor TFT players, they just, not poor in like money, I wouldn't, you know, but bad TFT players, I guess, are something that I see them do a lot is they are really just, they're playing, they have a level 8 board in mind, and they're just sleepwalking to get to that level 8 board. They're not looking for like big upgrades on their board. They're not looking for their strongest unit to play. They are just saying, I got this board right now. I don't really care if I upgrade it at all. Like, it's good enough, and that'll get me to level 8. And then once I hit level 8, you know, that's my real board once I make it to level 8, or whatever like the final version of their board is. But I think really good TFT players, they realize that like there's so much more to the game than that. There's so many more small things that you can do to your board to make your board better, to save HP on the way. Ooh, is that the Radiantize thingy here? I imagine he's actually, Wasian's gonna stat check here and see what's better here. And yeah, he's makes the call that Radiant Guardbreaker is better here. I mean, that's gotta be a stats check onto Silco here. I guess we can do the same stats check just to get an idea for, I mean, I imagine this is what he's looking at is Silco, and then just going to items. And then, I mean, you can even just type in Radiant if you don't wanna do that. And then just looking at Radiant this plus like Radiant Willbreaker. It actually says Guardbreaker a little bit worse, but maybe if you do 3 items Silco, it changes. Because I would have thought, nah, I don't actually know what filters he was using to see that Willbreaker is better than this, because I'm not seeing it, at least onto Silco. I mean, unless he really did, I mean, maybe he put his money where his mouth is and said Ziggs item, Baron's Gift, where's Willbreaker? Nah, I mean, it still says Baron Gift's better. I don't actually get this Guardbreaker over the thingy. I mean, maybe his ideas with like mana flow. I don't know. Let's actually, I'm down to go back and see what he said, because I mean, he's someone who talks a lot. Let's see what he says here.
This guard or after? I like guard, right? Pretty good guard. That's Dominators.
Okay. So I think he's acknowledging that was just, he was like, I think it's Guardbreaker. He checked the stats after making Guardbreaker, and then he said stats say Nashers. Yeah, I mean, all the stats say Radiant Nashers would be better here. I think he was just running out of time because, you know, with the little thingy, you have to pick it kind of quickly. Honestly, he probably should have just deferred to stats here because, I mean, obviously, like he had to, if he wanted to pick quickly, he had to not defer to stats, but I think it would have been better just to not pick quickly, because he was on a loss streak anyway with Patient Study. Like he wouldn't have really minded losing that last fight being down a Radiant item. Would have actually been really, really nice 5 loss for him here. So actually kind of unfortunate for Wasian here, but you know, he'll still be fine. Those are hard things. That's a Mordekaiser, by the way. So you know, I won't say that this game's not high roll because this is a crazy game from Wasian, but I think it even plays more into the idea of what Wasian's talking about, is that this is a comp that really revolves around its 5 costs, hitting stuff like the Mordekaiser, the LeBlanc. And so you want to spend as little time rolling for 2-star 4 costs as possible. So let's see. This is going to be his 4-1. How much is he going to roll here? There's a LeBlanc in 1 roll, by the way. Not bad at all. He's got 6 Dominator on his board. He hits both of these and boom, he's done. I think, yeah, I think this is a beautiful example. Obviously a bit of an exaggeration because we hit both of our 5 costs here. Going to make double Nashers here, which very reasonable, great items. But he plays around the Ziggs 2, he plays around the Blitz 2, and this is his board. No Silco 2, but I mean, he's got a Ziggs 2 and a Blitz 2, so that's all he needs at this point, right? And he's hit these 5 costs, but I do believe, based on how he's been talking about this, had he not hit both of those, ooh, Radiant, not Radiant, but whatever you call this thing, big bulwark here, just extra HP onto the entire board. I mean, yeah, makes a lot of sense just to buy time for your Dominators here. But I wonder, like, had he not even hit LeBlanc here, I wonder if this would still, or had he not even hit the Mordekaiser here, would this still just be his board and he would have stopped rolling? Based on what he's been saying, I think it seems very, very likely. But I mean, the next thing is just how long are we going to stay on this Ziggs? How long are we going to stay on this Blitzcrank? Are we going to anomalize the Ziggs or the Blitzcrank here? I mean, we'll see. We're getting close to it. But I mean, just the idea of being able to anomalize these, and I mean, his board, I mean, this fight is not a LeBlanc or Mordekaiser diff. He is stomping people with this board. So it really looks like just playing around the power of the Ziggs 2 and the Blitz 2 is enough for this stage, certainly, especially when people, I mean, YBY1 also definitely got the memo. He's playing around a Ziggs 2 with a bunch of fantastic items. So just using these units to allow you to push fast 9 and then play for these 5 costs that we've already picked up. But now we can think about playing around like 2-star 5 costs like the Mordekaiser 2, like the LeBlanc 2, and all those kind of things. So that's the hope. Another win here. Relatively close fight, but still not that close. Maybe you could say that this fight is like a Mordekaiser 6 Dom diff, but whatever. We have Shojin as our next item. If we can potentially make it, that would be the hope here. This is a LeBlanc on Carousel with a, I mean, we don't need Static Shiv, but I mean, you could just take LeBlanc pair. Not going to be able to end up picking it up, so we're just going to take the Belt here. Once again, Belt, Wasian's favorite component in this comp, makes a lot of sense. Warmock's fantastic, Sunfire fantastic, Nashor's fantastic. Even Redemption here going to end up getting slammed because he's on a bit of a streak. Wow, I love it. I mean, this is actually kind of a crazy slam if you think about it. I think a lot of people would have graded these 2 components because these are probably the 2 best components in this comp. You have the Belt for like all those items I talked about, and the tier for something like a Shojin that scales really well with Nashers. I guess his thing is though that like I already have mana flow here. I don't need the Shojin as much. I have, you know, Mom, can we get Shojin? We have Shojin at home. Shojin at home is mana flow here, and also he gets the slam here, which, you know, maybe can help him win some of these really close fights. Actually, I mean, that is a redemption diff for sure. Stone Skin here, decent one. The only problem is like when you're playing for really long fights, especially with the Randuins, it doesn't seem as good, so probably skip that. Freestyling here, not very good with the 6 Dom. Magic Training, I don't know how good this actually is in this comp. It doesn't sound that good to me. Deep Roots, though, I feel like is a good tank anomaly here, so that would be Deep Roots on the Blitzcrank here. Yeah, I love it. I think it makes perfect sense. So putting his money where his mouth is, anomalizing his Blitzcrank. Oh, and look at YBY1. YBY1 also has his Ziggs on the Anomaly slot. So both these people realizing that this is the way to play this comp, right? And actually, wait, this is crazy as well. Everybody anomalizing a low-cost unit here. This person ended up anomalizing... yeah, I mean, Strength Training double Gwynsu with one of them being Radiant on this this Draven, I mean, is fantastic as well. What a crazy setup, actually. Yuso Lucas going for that. Like, pretty much everyone is just anomalizing like a 1 or 2 cost or 3 cost unit. There's so few 4 costs here that are anomalized. And I mean, it makes sense when you think about high-level TFT, the best TFT players in the world. And look, YBI1 anomalized his Ziggs here. The best TFT players in the world, like, if you're playing against really, really good players, you have to increase the tempo that you play TFT at. You can't just greed for everything like a 2-star 4 cost and just play weak until you get there. And so all these players are realizing that, yeah, if you anomalize these slightly lower, value, lower cap units, you can use those to tempo you into like a fast 9. And at the end of the day, Anomaly is great. It's a lot of power, but it's not the end all be all. Like you can make it to the end of the game with your Anomaly on your Ziggs too. So why not just go for this? I don't know. This is such a cool idea. Wasian actually potentially full greeting. Yeah, and then opts not to. There's a Victor pretty early, which I I think he's pretty happy about here. Item-wise here, so we have MR Shred. We do not have Heal Cut, but we can't really build it in this spot here. Gonna move items over so we can Vow, and then Redemption over to the support unit in the Mundo here. I think this is beautiful from Wasian here, just making sure that all of his tankiest items are onto the Blitzcrank. Vow, I think, actually really, really good in the stats on a Blitzcrank. Makes sense. He's a Dominator, and it's just a lot of stats. Look at that Ziggs! 11,000 damage, by the way, and Wasian, by all intents and purposes, is on his way to a fast 10 in this spot. 5-2. This honestly is kind of echoes of the Soju game that we watched the other day, where Soju went just fast 10 and played for everything. I don't know. This is such a cool way to play TFT. This guy has their Anomaly on their Garen and found Garen too, but look at this. They rolled it to 0 on 8. This person is capped level 8 for the entire game. It's almost impossible for them to go level 10 or level 9 even. So yeah, it's fine. This guy's, level 8, but they're 1,000,000% going to get outcapped by someone like Wasian, who, now he's going to roll down and say, you know what, okay, I lost a fight. I'm not that confident that I want to just do this. And now I can just move items over to the Silco. Remember, the Anomaly is on the Blitzcrank, so, very happy to move items over to the Silco, and like vice versa. Had items been on Blitzcrank and like the Ziggs had been Anomaly, I imagine these items would stay, but maybe, he'd move items over to Mundo too. So just flexible with where the items end up going makes perfect sense here. Fighting a frontline worth the wait powder game from Replay, which doesn't seem to be going too well, but I mean, it looks cool at least. It's a Black Rose Spat if we could pick it up. I mean, I have to imagine that is the want in this spot. It's also on a Jace though. Can we fit Jace onto this board? I mean, you can't really cut these Black Rose units. So, I mean, actually, no, you can. Yeah, okay. But maybe we'll just play 4 Black Rose here. Yeah, okay. I mean, this seems pretty reasonable. Yeah, we don't have the Elisa in, so like the Jace value is actually pretty low at this point. Maybe eventually if we level, we could get Elise plus Jason down the line. Maybe, we'll see. But overall, I mean, still really nice. Just adds 4 Black Rose to the board. And also everybody's itemized at this point. Really, like we're sacking maybe an item onto like Mundo or LeBlanc here to get this Black Rose +1. It's very worth it here. The only downside is we don't have Heal Cut yet, right? We're still waiting on that. The battle of the Ziggs Anomaly versus the Blitzcrank Anomaly. YBY1 ends up winning with the Ziggs Anomaly. You can see why Wasian has just such a high priority on the Ziggs unit, just because he demolished Wasian's board. Just a Ziggs carry there. So I don't know. Get ready to play for Ziggs. Ziggs as you're out the entire game. Actually, it's so cool when people discover these just really broken 2 costs, because it can allow you to play really fun games. I'm reminded of like Zyra to Storyweaver Zyra just carrying the entire game. Losing a few fights here. Doesn't feel great for Wasian, especially because he's dropping really low here, but he's still on his way to 10. He's gonna make it, I believe, which is gonna allow him to cap really high. And so we'll see. I mean, this Blaza player is someone who decided to cap around just sitting on 8 and tempoing, playing around a 4-cost Anomaly, and Wasian kind of doing the opposite of that, just playing like really high cap for a potential fast 10 here. Once again, he does have the ability to go 10 here, and like you said, this board is all about the units that you can get in. Gonna fit Jace onto this board here. Still no LeBlanc, or not LeBlanc, the unit that evolves into a spider is named Elise. No Elise on this board for now. So Jace is really just sitting on the board as a good unit. But I mean, extra frontline is extra frontline. Checking out this guy as well, maybe just to see if some of those units are going to go out of the pool so that we can end up picking them up. We'll see how this fight goes. We're fighting their clone, it looks like. The Garen, tanky, but not tanky enough for this level 10 board. Blaza actually takes a win here. Lucas actually drops down here. Pick up LeBlanc 2 finally. It means we do actually end up having to drop out of Jace. Certainly not better to move items over to LeBlanc because she's not benefiting from 6 Dominator here. So just going to keep this board as it is here. YBY1 still first place HP with the same kind of strategy we're going for. Oh god, and we're fighting YBY1 here. We'll see. Also don't, I mean, our Mordekaiser, maybe he can, no, he's not. Yeah, the Mordekaiser positioning was pretty rough here. Can the Silco cap it out? This is really rough, but I think, oh my god, we just barely get there. Also, both YBY and Wasian level 10 at this point, and also both pushing levels at this point. We end up getting 5 Black Rose in here, just saying that this is going to be better than even just putting Jace on our board, which is kind of interesting in the idea. Also, we're going to lock here for the Mordekaiser, especially because we're going into Carousel here. Mord on Carousel is the dream here, and then we have Mord too. All right, fighting XP Mots here at level 10, level 9 actually, so not the full cap out that Wasian's got here. Doesn't have the Victor on his board like we have, and also doesn't have this huge Mordekaiser on the board. Pretty close fight again, but we do end up winning it here, so that's a ton of damage pushed up to them. And YB1 going down here. No Mordekaiser on Carousel here, so really, we'll probably just end up taking up. I mean, Nashor's is so good, but I wonder if he just wants money. Yeah, he was looking at the Guardbreaker for money and then ends up just taking the Nashors here. So we'll see. There's Mord. Roll twice here. He's, oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I love it. He remakes the Silco, sells the Silco, moves these items over to the Mordekaiser, Radiant Guardbreaker onto him. I mean, it's beautiful. It makes so much sense. And then the items just go back onto the Ziggs. So we're going to end the game with items on Ziggs. Once again, we swap the Mordekaiser over to this right side here where it can't pull the Ziggs. The Ziggs is not close enough, but it's tanky enough at this point that it's doing a lot of damage. Wait, this fight is so close. Ziggs cast clutches out the game and wins it for Wasian. Oh my god, what a game. I mean, this game had it all. It was beautiful. And he won the game. We won the game with our Ziggs carry, beating someone else with a Ziggs carry. And then both YBY and Wasian had items on these Mordekaisers as their kind of like main carry. So just such a cool way to play around Dominators, I think. A lot of people, I think, are just really, really stuck in, I got to play for 4-cost carry, that kind of stuff. So really, really, yeah, just beautiful, beautiful game from Wasian. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out the link to my Metafy in the description for my coaching. And Happy New Year to everybody as well. I didn't mention it because I'm recording this on New Year's Eve, but Happy New Year. Let me know if you got any New Year's resolutions for TFT. If your New Year's resolution, I did it in the last video, this was cheesy, but if your New Year's resolution is to get better at TFT, then maybe consider my Metafy coaching or even checking out the coaching bots I got in there. All right, I'll see you guys later. Thanks as always for watching.